this is what we're here to do today. We're here to talk about how to stand out as a freelancer. Now, I'm sure you'll agree that that is a very important topic. And I think not only that, it's also quite a difficult one. I'm not pulling any punches here. Probably one of the hardest things to do when you're in a pool full of lots of talented people, which I'm sure you all are. And if you want to put in the chat who you are, what you do, it would be good to get to know you. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. And sorry, I wanted to start off by talking about my nan. Okay, so this picture shows a picture of my nan. Sheila Banks is the name, aka Nan. That's what I call it. And then there's a picture of me as a small blob. Okay, my name is Adam, as you know. Okay, so the reason I'm talking about her is because she's my hero. Okay, and I'm sure a relationship with a grandparent is very special, but this is a very special lady. Okay, so she was my hero, and I'm going to tell you why and what the reasoning why I'm saying this to you. Okay, it's not just because I love my nan. It's because she taught me many things in my life. She taught me about style. Look at that waistcoat and that roll neck, right? She was an extremely glamorous woman, my nan, and she was a very stylish, glamorous woman. So she taught me a lot about that. She also taught me about the importance of birthdays. Okay, now, so when I say birthdays, I don't mean my birthday. I actually mean her birthday. Okay, because she would give me and my brother, my mum, my dad, her daughters. She'd always give us a list, right, of gifts that were acceptable for her birthday, and that was always done well in advance. And her birthday was in February, so round about January we would get the list. And she absolutely loved her birthday. She loved to be spoiled. She loved to be celebrated. She loved to be, she wanted people to celebrate her. So that was another good lesson for me. She was also very entrepreneurial. Okay, so this is a lady who spent most of her life working for other people, but also working in a variety of different industries. She ran a bookies at one point. She worked at the council on the Wirral, which is near Liverpool, where I'm from, and she kind of worked her way up there. She had many different jobs, and then when she retired, so this is about 60 something, she decided to start a beauty business. Okay, now this is a person who had no formal training. She was a glamorous woman, very stylish woman, as I've already said, but she had no formal training or qualification for this. Okay, so when you'd ask her that, she would say, "Why do I need the training? Why do I need to do the training?" She wasn't a person to be questioned or argued with. So she made my mum, her daughter, who ran an advertising agency, to mock up a certificate that she put on the wall that wasn't real. So when people came, they, I'm not saying they were like looking at the certificate, but it gives that extra layer of, wow, credibility. Well, it wasn't real. I'm not saying you should go out and create fake certificates. I'm just, giving you an idea of how strongly minded this person was. My granddad, bless him, he was employed as a receptionist, didn't get paid for that. But he would open the door to their house, and he would show the customers or patients, maybe, I don't know what the right word is, up to the spare room. She would perform what I would call her procedures, and just to be clear, she would mix creams together and then put them in expensive pots, right? So you could say she was a bit of a well, it's illegal, to be honest. But anyway, the point is, this is a woman who wouldn't be. You can't argue with her, and you can't reason with someone who's very forcefully minded in what they want to do. But the proof is in the pudding. She had repeat customers. Some of them worked for the police. My point is, this is a lady who I look up to quite considerably for many reasons. But you know, as someone who works for themselves today, someone who, you know, I really feel like that doggedness is very, very important in business. And I'm sure, you know, that you can't really argue with that. Another factor is she loves George Clooney. She always used to say to me, she called him Gorgeous George. And I'm not lying when I say to you, she thinks she had a chance. If only they'd met. Loved George Clooney. As she got older, she had Alzheimer's, so she had to go. She went into a home. So I used to go and see her, and as much as it's a horrible, and it is a horrible, horrible, horrible illness, there were flashes of this person all the time. You know, she loved sherry. There we are having a drop of sherry. She still wanted to maintain the glamour. Even when she knew she was forgetting herself, she knew that she wanted to be glamorous. And this, you know, this is a very strong-willed person with a very difficult, horrible illness, you know, and is still maintaining this identity of who she was. Sadly, she actually died in 2019, and it was obviously a huge tragic loss. But the song that played out at the funeral was Frank Sinatra's magnum opus, My Way. And if anyone in my life, I'm 37 years old, I've never met someone who does things or did things that more kind of aptly their way. So this is a person that I look up to still, because she taught me these things. She taught me, you know, you have to be yourself, be unashamedly yourself, be unapologetically yourself. She was probably to herself, to be honest. She didn't have a filter. But, you know, what I'm trying to say is, you know, this is the person that I look up to, because she used to tell me this. And I remember it, you know, as a child, you know, and I was, you know, we lost her when I was about 31 years old. So I was an adult still understanding this very, very valuable lesson that I carry with me to this day. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about today, because this is something that I take into my business and the way I conduct business and the way I do business. Okay, so this is me. This is me. So here's a few facts about me. And you know, I'm just going to kind of run through them, but I've kind of run my own business for it's about 4.5 years now. It started off as a video production business. So you know, I'm sure there's some creative people, you know, in the group today. And you know, it's been a fantastic journey. I think I was always supposed to work for myself. I absolutely love it. I really don't feel like I belonged in any job. So doing my own thing is absolutely brilliant. I love it. I've kind of pivoted and, you know, extended my business into other areas now. One of which, as Una kindly said, is helping other people, other freelancers, other self-employed people, other business owners, how to set up and run their businesses better, which I really, really enjoy. Before that, I was a journalist, newspaper journalist, used to work in TV production. So, you know, for me, like media and storytelling and, you know, putting yourself out there has always been part of my life, always part of my DNA. Okay. I also mentor young people for the Prince's Trust. I'm sure maybe some of you have heard of that charity, which I really, really enjoy doing, because, you know, it's very, very rewarding. I like seeing people do well, and it also has had quite a considerable effect on the way I am and how much I like helping people. I also have a terrible affliction. I've got globophobia, which is a fear of balloons. I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible. Who'd have thought it, hey? And I also once cycled from London to Tokyo. So as I stand here now, I'm going to say that one of those things isn't true. Okay, so do you want to hazard a guess which one is not true in the oh, why has that happened? Why has that happened? Yeah, please hazard a guess in the chat. which one's not true, and I will announce it. Okay, the cycle, TV. Okay, well, okay, right. Well, you're all saying different things. Okay, right. I'm just gonna. The business is true. The newspapers and the TV is true. The mentoring is true. The cycling is true. The balloons is false. So well done to Alan, Sarah, Flavio, Anne-Marie, Amanda. Oh, Peter's put a balloon. Geraldine and Una. Okay, you were right. Well done. Okay. So look, I'm not going to just, that's all you're going to get about me. Like, if you want to talk to me about other things afterwards or another time, you can. Okay, so that was false. Okay, so the goal of today is to make you be the red dot. Okay, not all those white dots. Because sometimes you can feel like the white dot, the one in the top right, the one in the bottom left, the one in the middle. And it's not ideal, is it? It's really difficult, in fact, because you want to be recognized for your fantastic work. You want to be recognized for what you can bring to the table, what you can offer. But if only you could be the red dot, only you could be the red dot. I'm sure everyone feels like they want to be the red dot. I do. I love being the red dot. I also support Liverpool, so I love red. I love red. Okay. So this is the reality. And I think about this every day, but you are the key to getting ahead as a freelancer. No one's going to do it for you, because those days are gone where you had a team around you, where you had someone kind of guiding you, directing you. You are the captain of the ship. You are the head of every department. So isn't that exciting, or is it scary? Which one is it to you guys? Because it's exciting to me. Do you find it exciting being the captain of your own ship, or do you find it scary, or both? Well, that's fine. That's okay. That's okay. I still get scared, but I think I've probably done a lot of work on myself to reframe these things as exciting. Uncertainty can be exciting, not just scary. Okay, so this is a kind of little exercise that I've put together because it kind of helps you, and we're not going to do it now and stay on the call and just be silent, but when I give you this presentation, these slides afterwards, I really want you to kind of go away and do these exercises, because the whole point of it is that you start thinking of yourself as unique, based on, as I've written here, the qualities, features, traits, passions about yourself, not what you do. I don't want you to think about that. I want you to think about what it is about you that you find unique. And some people find that difficult to, kind of do, but it's important work. Okay. The next exercise that I'd like you to do, again, in your own time, is thinking about what your mission and your vision and your values are. Okay. So just to walk through it as an example, because you can see it there, is for me, one of my missions is helping other freelancers thrive. Okay. That's very clear. I really, really enjoy doing that. And my vision for that is to create a better landscape for the freelance community, create more opportunities for them. And what, my values are giving back to people who are like me. That's the kind of values that really kind of ring true for me. So when you've kind of done that one, you can go to exercise 3. Okay. So this is one of the hardest things to do for people, because a lot of people don't think about what problems they're solving. They just think about, well, I do this. And I'm like, well, I know 1,000 of them. Okay. So for example, when I'm talking to people about my video content, I was, this is just an example, a line that I say, which is, I create video content that in-house teams can't, which is quite arrogant, but that's the truth. A lot of people can't make it, so they outsource it, but I make it very clear that that's what I'm doing. And so when you do these exercises, really think about, if you can write down in one sentence what solution you're offering, to a problem that needs solving, it's much, much clearer. Okay. So just to give a kind of few more examples, it could be, I take, stunning images for, outdoor brands through you know, X. You know, you have to think of it in what are you doing, who are you doing it for, and what problem are you solving for them? Because people don't have time to decipher, right, what's going on. And if you're one of many, that's not going to stand out. Okay. People come to me all the time and they say, do you know a freelancer who can do this? I probably get 2 or 3 messages like that a day. Of course, I know people, but the ones that I send them to are the ones that, you know, I think A, will be really good for it, but they're the ones who've got a lot of personality in what they're doing. They're very clear on what they're offering. And yeah, they're very visible. So, you know, this is something that you really, you know, I want you to think about. Okay. Because, you know, most freelancers see themselves as a skill set. Now, you might say, well, I am a skill set. Yeah, no, you have a skill set, but you're not, it's not the only thing that you have. Okay. It is part of it. It's a big part of it, of course, like what you can do, what you're passionate about, where your skills lie, you know, it's a very important thing. But is it the be all and end all? Is that going to make you stand out? I mean, how many designers do you know? I mean, Una and Peter, you know, they've built up, you know, a fantastic pool of people, but I guarantee that there are, you know, it's difficult for me to say, but I'm gonna guess and estimate that they have categories of people in there of which there are potentially hundreds of the same skill set. How on earth are they supposed to, you know, really, let's be honest, decipher and decode and declutter hundreds of people who do the same thing if all they see themselves as are designers or a copywriter? And I'm really not undermining that skill set. I'm saying that the talent is there, but you're going to have to go further. You're really going to have to go further, you know, because I mean, I've actually quoted myself there, which is, I don't know, it's just thought, why not? But I think that's for me, that's one of the biggest myths. People think, okay, well, I'm good at this. Okay. The work will speak for itself. And I always say, well, your work can't talk. So you're going to have to speak for it. And to speak for it is not just to say, here's my website, here's my portfolio. You know, I get sent many websites and portfolios that I haven't asked for, by the way, every day. And, you know, if I have time in my day, and bear in mind, I get many, many messages, I will always message them back and I'll say, well, firstly, I didn't ask for it. And secondly, you know, if you'd have tried to get to know me, I might have helped you. So there's your lesson. You know, and I just think that people just think, well, there's my work, so it speaks for itself. Again, it can't talk. So, you know, it's not just about having it there. It's about what you do with it and what you're doing to get in front of people. So there's a myth. And you know, it's not enough to succeed in this very competitive market. Because if you go on, I don't know, I'm just as an example, and search for freelance, then stick your job title in there. How many? You're probably not going to get 7.7 billion. It's an exaggeration, but you're not going to get 7.7 billion designers. My point is, when you put it like that, I mean, how is anyone supposed to decipher who's the person to go to? Because there is literally no personality there. Freelance photographer, freelance designer, freelance writer, freelance, you know, photographer. I think I've already said that. Freelance videographer, whatever it is. No standing out. No standing out. Okay. Because, you know, to me, skill set is a small but important part of the puzzle. You know, it's there, but I think that's where people stop. They go, right, okay, I've got a skill set. That's enough. People should just be knocking on my door, asking to work with me. Okay. But what if I know, you know, and what if I know 100 of your skill set? How am I supposed to know, you know, who's not about being the best? It's about who's the person that I want to send those people. Who do I want to send that person to? Okay. Because you have to think about, and people don't like this. They don't like this. They don't like thinking about these other things. But if you know, I don't like accounts. I don't like them. I do have an accountant, but I actively take an interest because it's important. To be in business, you need to know numbers. If you don't know your numbers, not to the degree of, what my accountant can do, but I need to understand it. What's coming in, what's going out? How much does this cost? I need to think about what the way I'm set up, how I'm paying myself. What are the business expenses? It's not sexy to think about this, but it's very important. Numbers, what's more important to a business than the numbers? If the numbers don't stack up, there is no business. Okay. So, that's one part, and I don't enjoy it, by the way, but I have to take an interest, and I don't get paid for that. Marketing and sales, probably a huge element of a business and a freelancer's life as well. If you're not marketing yourself, you're not making sales. If you're not making sales, you're not being able to use your skill set. Now, people can say, well, I don't really like doing that. So, okay, well, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And I think that, this is something that I, know only too well. I'm like, okay, I need to market myself. I need to market my skills. I need to do that to make sales. So, this is a broader puzzle, which has many different pieces to it. But most people just want to focus on the skill set. It's not enough. For me, that's probably the most important skill. I'm not saying you have to be like someone you're not, but you do have to work hard on it. You have to try. You have to try. You have to kind of get comfortable with trying. You have to get comfortable with being rejected. But I always say, you know what? I'd rather someone says no to me than I don't try at all, because I can't deal with that. And I still get rejected to this day, but I'm just a lot more comfortable with it. This is what I think freelancers are good at. They're good at the skill set, and they're not good at selling yourself. And if people, again, do use the chat, guys. Say how you feel, say what you feel works for you or doesn't work for you, what you struggle with, what you feel like. So skill set, easy, good. I'm sure you're brilliant at it. Okay, we don't need to work on that. We don't need to work on that. We need to work on this, selling yourself. So you're not this person on their knees looking up to the sky, looking sad. Because let's be honest, if you sell yourself, you can sell your skill set, and it's like this cyclical thing. So, for me, I actually probably work on my business more than I work in it. And that might surprise you, but that's how I see it, because I think, okay, I can spend these hours or these days really going at the selling myself part. And just to be clear, I see there, Logan said, sales my biggest weakness, hate it. Claudine said, I wish I could outsource the parts of the business that I don't like. Okay. Lisa's wants to work on that. Okay. But these are, this is important work. Yeah. It's not, the skill set doesn't need, my skill set, certainly the creative one, as in the video one, has not really improved that much in years, because it doesn't need to, because it's at a high level. I've worked hard on it, but my point is, selling myself was the harder part. So I chose to work on that because it gave me the platform for the skill set part. And Logan with the sales, I get it. I get it. It's not an easy thing to do. Sales is not easy, but there is a way. I trust me, believe, guys, there is a way to do this without feeling like a salesman. You don't have to sell. The worst thing you can do, people email me every day, message me every day on LinkedIn, and they say, hey, I'm a designer. Here's my website. Okay. Didn't ask for it. If someone says to me, hey, I'm just going to use like Logan's name because he's there. Hey, I'm Logan. That presentation you did, or that piece of work you did, that event thing, that post you did, that really resonated with me. Hello, Logan. Nice to meet you. Thanks for sending me that. You've done some homework to get to know me. Great. Okay. Now I know who you are, and you haven't tried to sell me anything. I'm listening. What do you need help with, Logan? There you go. This is where people go wrong. They start selling something when no one's asked for it. And I know no one likes being sold to. You know, if you can, you know, if I asked you guys, everyone listening, how do you feel when someone tries to sell you something you haven't asked for it? Like, you know, just say in the comments, in the chat. You know, if someone's like, "Hey, buy this from me," okay, you know, I haven't asked for that. You know, for me, like, I ain't gonna, even if I want that thing, I won't buy it off that person because I don't think they should be encouraged. So, you know, and sales and selling gets a terribly bad rep. You know, it really, really does. You know, and we don't like it, especially when it's not asked for. I actually feel sorry for those people who have to, you know, do it. It's just not very nice. So this is why we're here, you know, because we want to talk about, this is how you're going to sell yourself without having to feel like you're, you know, kind of this kind of icky, uncomfortable salesperson. Because trust me, my friends, you can do it. You can do it. You just have to believe in yourself and put yourself forward, put your best self forward. Not always about the benefits of what you can do for people, okay? And what you're selling. You know, because let's be honest, we're here and we're talking about freelancing. We're talking about, you know, having a little business. We're talking about, you know, the kind of services that you offer. And it requires, you know, a very different mindset to being, you know, employed. Let's be honest. It really, really does. It's, you know, there's so many different things going on, you know, and you have to think of yourself, which, you know, everyone's worked for someone at some point. Everyone has been a we. Everyone was part of a team. Everyone was like, we have this we mentality. But at the end of the day, you know, if you're a freelancer, you are an I. You are a single entity that has to see themselves as an I. So if you are an I, you have to take responsibility for being an I, because no one is going to do it for you. No one is going to come and save you. And I know that's a difficult thing to hear because it's uncomfortable. But, you know, I want you to step into being an I. And, you know, there will be people here, I'm sure, who have been an I. You know, the language sounds a bit wrong, but have been an I longer than I have been an I. You know, I've 4.5 years as an I. There might be people, you know, be interesting to hear how long, just while I'm talking about this, like how long everyone has been a freelancer. So, you know, please do. I can see it in the chat. So if you, you know, let me know how long you've maybe been doing your own thing, because I find it really interesting. But yeah, you have to step into the I. You have to be proud of the I. You have to own the I. But that obviously comes with accepting responsibility. You know, so the way I see it is that if you're a freelancer, you need to see yourself as a business. Okay. Now, some people might already do that. I did from day one, from the first day that I started being, you know, working for myself, right? Some of you might see this and go, yeah, I already see it like that. Some of you go, well, why would I need to do that? You know, I don't need to do that. You do, because you're the one who's moving the needle. No one else is doing it for you. Okay. So I want to talk about business mindset, you know, because these are things that like are very important and integral to running a business and having a business mindset. You know, business development. I spend a good amount of time on this. Like, I'm not saying I spend a specific amount of time each day, but you know, across the week, across a month, I'm spending quite a lot of time on this, and that includes you know, you kind of you know, your sales, your marketing, all that, like business development, developing opportunities, developing leads, developing you know, lead generation, developing opportunities. And it's absolutely integral to any business, because if you don't do anything, nothing happens. We can't just expect people to come and knock on our door and go, hey, I've got this fantastic project for you. Here it is. Okay, how did you find where I live? I mean, no one's going to come and obviously do that. I just mean, you know, we're waiting around for things to happen. We can't do that. We need to develop business. Okay. And once you see it like this and you're like, oh, actually, there's opportunities everywhere, you will, you know, hopefully you leave today thinking, do you know what? I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to start conversations, because Una and Peter are there for you, but they can only do so much. Okay. They don't know everyone in the world. They don't know every company in the world. They don't know every opportunity in the world. They do a lot, but just let's be honest. There's more out there, you know, there's more out there. And I'm sure Una won't, she's not going to, and Peter aren't going to mind me saying that, because it's just, you cover a certain amount. You have a certain network, you have a certain, book of contacts. That's one option, right? That's one option of your business development. Okay. So, it's difficult, but, who here likes talking about money? Let me know in the comments. I don't think anyone does. It's a difficult conversation. So, you have to kind of get comfortable with that. You have to get comfortable talking about money. You have to get comfortable talking about your prices. You have to get comfortable negotiating things. You have to know your value, know your worth. That is really important at all. So, that's why, that's why this is, being a freelancer is a business. Yeah. And I think that it's important to have a vision and want to grow, and whatever that means to you can be different. If for you, you're enough, you want to just get by and have enough and live the life you want to live, that's fine. That's your vision. Some people want to grow their business or, their freelance thing into something a bit bigger, or, for me, I'm living the one person dream, everyone. That's what I want. I just want to work, for myself, by myself. I'm happy with that. I don't want to build like an agency. I don't want that. Okay. Just to be clear, I bring in freelancers to do things with me as and when required. That is my model. Okay. That is my growth mindset. Okay. And it doesn't always, people don't want to hear this, but you need patience with these things. You can't, any business, there's no overnight success. It doesn't exist. Anyone who says that is lying, basically, because you need patience. You need patience to grow something, and sometimes everything in business, it's 2024, but my dad used to run his own business. This is well before the digital world, the internet. And he said to me, because I spoke to him the other day and I said that I was doing this talk for everyone. And he said that, like, the most important thing, even when in the 70s, when he was working, was relationships. So it's not changed. And so you need patience in order to build those relationships. You can't just go in and expect people to just give you what you want, without having any kind of warm up or relationship building, lastly, one customer or one client is not enough. You can't rely on one customer, one client, one source of income, because if that goes, and this, I'm talking about freelancing here, it's different, obviously, if you have a job, because that's your income. But if we're talking about freelancing, if you have all your eggs in one basket and suddenly one day something happens, that company decides, well, that company goes under. I don't know, that company decides they want to go in a different direction. What are you going to do then? Because, suddenly that income or that source of income that you're relying on is gone, and you have to go out and find it. So, this is why I'll loop back to number one. You should always be thinking about business development, because you can't have all your eggs in one basket. It's just not, it doesn't make business sense, and it's not a smart thing to do. Okay, so I do believe, that employers and companies are looking for more than just a skill set. They're looking for a person. Okay, and this goes for, like, freelancing can be quite broad. It can be, people employ someone for like a short term, you can get employed, you can still be a freelancer and go and work somewhere for a few months. Like that's part of it. It can be, on a project basis. It could be, a shorter contract than 3 months. The point is, they're looking for a person. They're not, and yes, the skill set is there, but, if they've got 10 options, they're all just as qualified. Who are you going to hire? I mean, if I was hiring, I'd hire the person that I want, not necessarily this, that's how you kind of narrow it down, So I feel like as we grow up, in school and certain jobs, we're not taught to be, not taught or encouraged to be the standout, the unique. We're taught to just kind of conform. And so, like, if you're a freelancer, it's never been more essential to see yourself as someone who's special and someone who stands out. But for being you know, for being yourself. Like your skill set's safe. I'm not going to tell you how to be good at what you already know how to do, but you need, if you're not getting the platforms to show it off, then you need to be thinking about these things. How do I do more with me, myself? Because that is something that is completely unique to you. I say, I mean, this is another one of my quotes, I guess. I say this, you know, I actually say it every single day. So, you know, it means something to me. But you know, I sell myself first, and I actually, you know, I sell my services second. I probably go too far the other way because sometimes people don't know what I'm doing. Having said that, it's a lot easier to sell to someone when you've got their trust and they're familiar with you, and you've got a direct line to them because they remember you. They remember you. They don't, you know, it's not always, they'll go, okay, Adam, I remember him. Okay, yeah, he does that. Okay. I want to be at the you know, the front and center of people's minds. So this is how I do it. You know, and you can too. The beauty of it is you're not me. So you know, it's not about you being like me, it's about you being like you. So I'm encouraging you to use that as much as you can. Don't put yourself in the same lane with everyone else. Put yourself in your own lane because you are unique, and that is a very special thing because people buy from people, people work with people. And I think sometimes people forget that. You know, because this is the point. I want you to feel visible, not invisible. And you're going to be invisible if you're one of 100 people who do the same thing the same way. Okay. So, you know, what some stuff that I you know, live by myself. You know, I can't tell you how much having an online presence has changed my freelance, you know, adventure, my freelance journey, my freelance business. It's a bit of a, maybe, you know, a kind of I say a trend. Developing your personal brand. The reason it's more possible now because of the internet and, you know, the digital world. You know, the concept is not new. Developing a personal brand to me is no different to what it will have been through, you know, through time. It's basically people just putting their best foot forward, putting themselves out there and being known to people, being visible. The only thing that's changed is that there's more options. So if anything, basically there's more tools, it's easier, but there's more people doing it, so it's harder. But, you know, what I often see is, you know, people don't do this. Freelancers don't do this. I see it because my data set is enormous, okay, with freelancers. And a lot of them do not do this. They've made an exciting decision or have been, you know, doing this for a while. They've been doing their own thing, and I'm very proud for them to be doing it, but they are not putting themselves out there. They are expecting people to find them. That's not how it works. Okay. So if you do this or don't do this, you know, if you don't do this, this is something that you should be doing. I really do believe that, you know, and people go, well, no one wants to hear from me. Like, why would they want to? What have I got to say? It's like, well, you've got to say a lot. You've just got to you have to do a bit of work on yourself first. Like, leave your ego at the door. Like, in my relationship with my ego is fantastic. You know, my relationship with, you know, rejection is actually fantastic as well. But I have been rejected many times. I still get rejected, but I feel the fear and I do it anyway. Like, you have to ask yourself, what do I want to happen? Do I want to be invisible? Do I want to have any money and be at home and not have any work? No, no, you don't want that. And sharing your work, your insights, your passion projects, telling your story is interesting because that is what makes you unique. You know, I see, you know, and by the way, I'm not saying you need to go on every single social media platform, everything, you know, whatever, you know, and every platform and that's a full-time job in itself. Okay. I basically just use LinkedIn because that's where the high level decision makers are. You know, I've got so much work, so many opportunities through LinkedIn because I choose to put myself out there, right? And I don't just go, here's my great work, here's my great work. I do that a bit, but I also share stories, I share insights. You know, there's people here I saw earlier have been freelancing more than me, longer than me, maybe even they're older than me, whatever. They've got more stories than I have, you know. And that's the thing, you know, you have to get used to telling your story because that's interesting, you know. the best word that anyone can say to you is, you share, thank you for sharing that. That really resonated with me. That's what you want. That is what you want. Social media to me, mainly LinkedIn really is like, I don't think LinkedIn is a CV website because it's changed. Whereas, if you put some personality into it, you will really thrive on that platform. But it is truly, a second CV, a digital resume. It's like a landing page for me. I see the results. I know I've been doing it for a while because these things take a bit of time and consistency and really going for it. But it's not just about money, but there are opportunities there for you guys, honestly. But you have to do that little bit of like, okay, people, for example, I'm happy for people. I don't work for LinkedIn. I just use it as I call it the opportunity generator because that many things happen for me on there, right? A lot of people say to me who aren't on LinkedIn, of course, they'll be like, oh, it's cringe. And I'm like, well, what's cringe about making stuff happen for yourself? Is that cringe? And I mean, I don't want to get into a huge conversation about LinkedIn. I'm just very passionate about it. But, everyone who's listening, do people find LinkedIn cringe? If you do, put it in the comments, just tell me what you think, because, it'd be interesting to see what you think. As a freelancer, this is your gateway. This is your gateway to more work. It's your gateway to more opportunities, as well as Una and Peter's work. That's there, but that's one option. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. So that's really important to me. I think it's probably like, freelancer marketing 101. How much are you putting yourself out there? And I don't mean sending long emails to people that they're not going to read. Selling your website, your services. I haven't got time for this. But if you put yourself out there, you will bypass many of the people who are doing that kind of what I would call lazy outreach, which is basically like, well, I've sent 400 messages, I've sent 400 emails, and no one's got back to me. Okay, you better send in 10 messages with some personalization to try and get to know these people. Okay, so every single day, my kind of strategy, if you will, in with my business and my life is to build more relationships, because I know that if you build relationships, things will come from that, and they might not happen on that day. They might happen a week later, a couple of weeks, and if you're really struggling, I get it when you want stuff to happen quickly, but the point is, as I said earlier, you need to have some patience. That some things are going to come good, but they won't come good if you don't do anything, because for me, every conversation online and offline as well, it's not just about, I just sit on my online all day. It's like everything is an opportunity. Now, some people think, I hate networking, right? Networking to me is having conversations with anyone. Like, it's not like going to those rubbish networking events, let's be honest, where someone comes up to you with a business card and they go, do you want my business card? And I'm like, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. Like, I don't know who you are. And they're like, well, I do, I offer these services for people. I'm like, oh, that's great. What's your name? Like, I don't want another business card. I want to know a person. So I think that I want you to understand and know that there's options. You always think I've tried everything. You haven't tried everything because you haven't spoke to every person. And if I'm not saying you need to have a list of everyone in the area and be like, I need to speak to all of them, but you just don't know until you speak to them. And that goes online and offline. And when you see that every conversation is an opportunity, it opens up your life, opens up your world, honestly. And people's response to that in a if they come back to me, they'll go, oh, I'm not very good at talking to people. Okay. Right. Okay. Like, I'm not saying you have to go up to everyone in the street and be like, oh, I haven't talked to them. The beauty of online and offline, the beauty of online is you don't have to be the loudest talker, right? So if you're not using online and you're a bit, if you're a bit kind of scared of that, I don't know why you wouldn't do that, because you're safe. And people go, oh, why would they want to hear from me? Okay. What do you want to happen? Okay. You kind of have to go, right, what's the lesser of two evils? is talking to that person and potentially something life-changing happening to me, is that the hard thing, or is it going to bed at night knowing that I didn't try? Because I can't deal with that. I really don't like it if I don't try. I really get upset with myself. I've trained myself to feel like that because I know behind every conversation that I start is a potential relationship that can lead to something. Okay. So what communities could you join? Because there's so many. There's so many. There's so many online and offline. Are you starting enough conversations? Are you building, are you building enough relationships? And this is extremely important to me, right? That last point there. And I know that people do it. You guys, I don't know you, so I can't speak on your behalf. Too many people start conversations, start them by trying to sell something. And we've already talked about this. It doesn't work. It does not work. So, I don't have a list, I don't have a script for you to follow, but I'm telling you, do not sell things to people without them being interested in it. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. It does not work. In order to sell something to someone, they need to trust you. And if they don't know you, they don't trust you. Okay. So all those messages and emails that you may have sent and you're not hearing anything back, ask yourself why. Is it because, there's no point speculating, but I'm pretty sure that they're not getting back to you because that's just like, okay, I get Una and Peter will know this. Some people that you're emailing will get hundreds of these that all say the same thing. They're like, hey, here's my website. Okay, cool. They haven't got time for it. Okay. So, I want you to kind of go away thinking in a more like, okay, I'm not going to sell something to them. I'm just anyone, like online, offline. I'm going to build relationships. This is a longer term strategy, guys. It is the long game. But let's be honest, there'll be people here younger than me, people here older than me. This is not a lot. This is not short. This is not a short game, is it? Like if you work for yourself, and you should be proud of that. I'm very proud of it. This is, you kind of want to do it for as long as you possibly can. So you want to play the long game. So you need to build relationships. And, because if you're relying on one client, one source of income, or you're really constantly scraping around trying to find work, think, you don't want to have to do that all the time. It's like finding new jobs, but obviously you have to do it to a degree, but it's exhausting, isn't it? Always trying to, find work, but going to the well. If there's no work at the well, there's no water in the well, going to the same well over and over again is insanity to me. Okay. There's other wells. Go to other wells as well. That's what I'm trying to say to you. So, actually, hold on. I'll come to your question, Claudine, at the end. But thank you for asking it, and I will come to it. And if anyone else has questions, please put them in because I will come to them at the end. Okay. Hold on, that's gone backwards. I want to go forwards. Okay. Right. So this is it might not be relevant to some of you, which is absolutely fine. But what I'm trying to say is, you've got this skill set. Have you thought about, how you might be able to diversify that? Okay. I'm not saying that you pivot away from what you actually want to do. I'm just saying, what skills have you got that what skills do you have that you could maybe work with different like businesses or I've got business, charities, events. It's just very general. But what I'm trying to say is one thing that people do is they all go to try and work with the same people, right? So we have what's called a bottleneck, and there's loads of people trying to get to the same thing. There are many industries, I actually advise people on this. There's many industries and companies who no one goes to because people think, well, that's not the kind of work I do. Like I work with sports brands. I work with food and drink companies. I work with, the point is, can you take your skills and, to an industry that's not as well served, and get in through that way? It might not be exactly what you want to do, but if it's paying you money that buys you time to do other things, why on earth would you not do that? Like, and I'm not going to be critical here of certain industries for their unsexiness, but I would not say that insurance is a very sexy one. I would not say that, certain elements of IT are sexy, or you know, or finance. However, sometimes you can find an in with the people that aren't very well served. So you have to kind of think about that. And, you know, as I've seen here in the group, you know, I think someone said they've been freelancing for 15 years. Have you ever thought about how you could educate other people in how to do things? I'm here talking about, I'm here talking about kind of, I don't know, freelancing, business, whatever. I've created a whole new element of my business by helping other people, not telling them what to do, but being there for them, using my experience of what I've learned over the years to help other people to do things. And I never really thought about that. I used to just think, I want to work with creative, I want to do creative projects, etc., etc. Whereas now, you know, I educate other people in how to do things. You know, what other side hustles could you start to generate more income? Yeah, this works if you've got a job. I would encourage, even if you've got a full-time job, think about what else you can do, because you just don't know. You don't know. The future, I saw a statistic the other day, 2030, by 2030, 55% of professionals, like people who work, will have a portfolio career. A portfolio career means that you have more than one source of income. Okay. It is more possible than ever to create, to set things up because of the internet online, to create other things, set up other things and test them and bring other things into your world, other people, other sort, you know, forms of income. So, you know, I think that's extremely exciting. I mean, what a brilliant time to be alive. Like, and you know, I can understand why people might get a bit overwhelmed, but the true element of it is that people are scared of being rejected. That is what's holding them back. When really you've got the best time in history, the most connected time in history to actually try things out. And it's just, if it doesn't work, okay, no harm, no foul. I'm 37. You know, I know Una and Peter, I'm not going to ask you to tell me your age, but you lived in a different time where, you know, I'm not saying things were hard. I'm saying the connectivity was not the same, right? You couldn't just be like, well, I'll just set up an online store and I'll do it in, you know, I know people, I work with different charities. There's people who are 13 selling, they're setting up little businesses from their bedroom and selling stuff online. It's just like, wow. You know, we've come so far from like, oh, I'll put a table outside my house and I'll sell a few things like a car boot sale. Like people, you know, people are literally changing their lives and they're just going, right, it's more possible. People, you know, I saw a statistic the other day. I think you know, I think it's like 1 in 3 8 to 12-year-olds wants to be a YouTuber. What, you know, not everyone can be a YouTuber. What I'm saying is people see that as a route to kind of success. They see it as a route to having control and agency over what they want. Now, if you're not willing to put the work in, you're not going to get anywhere. But what I'm trying to say is, I just want to open up your mind to thinking of different things that you can do and not be ashamed to try, you know, because there's so much that you can do, you know, and let's be honest, if you go into the well and there's no water in the well, that's your cue to go and look for water in a different place. It's okay to keep checking in, but you know, people like Una and Peter who work really hard to you know to find, you know, find work for people. Like sometimes it's not there as much as it you know it could be in other times. That's just the way it is. So, you know, I've just kind of put this in because I think people struggle with, you know, the kind of financials and stuff that, you know, in terms of setting rates for themselves. But, you know, I've kind of just, I probably shouldn't have put this in actually. But anyway, it's kind of like, I'm not going to focus on this. It's kind of like, you know, I just kind of want people to see that, you know, you can do, there's different ways for you to kind of price up what you're doing. Do you see what I mean? Like I kind of have like, I probably started in this time-based value thing and I've moved away from it to project-based value. I'm now in this section, the retainer-based value. I'm kind of not going to get into it too much today, but the point is, you know, you should be always trying to play around with what things you can do for people and like, you know, packaging up little things, because to be honest with you, people just do not have the energy and time to decipher what it is that you're doing. And, you know, sometimes you can kind of create these little streams for yourself. But I think knowing your worth, knowing your value is really important. Okay. So I'm not going to get into too much of that. But, you know, I truly believe. So I used to be a journalist, a newspaper journalist. I don't know if any of you have ever had, you know, a journalist knock on your door. I mean, I don't look like Walter White, but I'm just saying that the training I had, even though it's like, you know, I didn't know I was going to be doing my own thing. I used to go knock on people's doors, like literally their front door, and something terrible has happened. Let's say a murder. Someone's been murdered, and I have to go knock on their door. Now, the responses that I got from that, you know, would range from, you know, not very horrible to horrible. So the point is, for me, you know, like trying to get on a level with people, sending a message, making a call, going up to someone and talking to them, they're never going to be as bad as what happened there for me. Now, I know that's not what you've experienced, but what I'm trying to tell you is the message is, you know, if you wait for people to come and knock on your door, they're not going to do it because they don't know you exist. You know, you have to go and knock on their door and be comfortable with the fact, you know, instead of worrying that you're going to get rejected, you should reward yourself. You know, reward yourself for trying, because instead of thinking what's the worst that could happen, you think what's the best that could happen. That's what I think. Every single time I'm going to go and try and talk to someone, I go, well, what's the best that could happen? Okay. So I want you to get better at knocking on doors, because they will open. There's just so many doors to knock on. You know, please don't think that you've exhausted all your options, because there's many doors. There's many doors to knock on. You know, I mean, who agrees with that statement? People say it, but do you actually feel it? Do you believe that? Do people agree with that? You know, let me know. You know,
Adam, can I jump in here for 1 second,
yeah.
because I'm conscious it's just there's so much activity going on the chat, and what people are starting to run back to
Oh,
their
okay.
meetings or whatnot, and I just wonder, could we maybe move into Q&A before we lose too many, because I just think there's
Yeah, that's fine.
going on here.
That's fine.
So
That's fine. Okay. Make your own luck. My friend drew this. Who agrees with that?
yeah, oh my God,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. Right.
The ups and
Move on
downs.
from that. This picture was taken at my nan's funeral. She loved George Clooney. That's me with long hair, by the way. I filled her room when she had Alzheimer's with George Clooney memorabilia. So I took this cardboard cutout to her funeral. Everyone wanted to take a picture with it. Anyway, that's the end. Okay, questions?
Thank you so much, Adam. That's just absolutely brilliant. I love your perspective and such a shot in the arm.